Welcome to the Fish Bowl, right, everybody. My name is Chief here, and joining me today is Juicy. We're doing our LSU versus Ole Miss 2024 preview here live on the Fish Bowl Radio. Without further ado, let me introduce everybody to my co-host for tonight. Juicy, how you doing today, Juicy?
What up? What up? I'm good. What up?
You know, it's been pretty good here at the Fish Bowl so far here. What is some things you like to see from LSU coming out of this bye week, Juicy?
Well, I like to see them build off that win against South Alabama. It looked like a complete team performance, except the turnovers that they had. I mean, they need to knock those down if they want to help themselves for Ole Miss. They don't need to give Ole Miss any points because I know they don't have a problem scoring points for sure, but neither does LSU. But I'm kind of expecting this to be a high-scoring game, actually, because neither one of them have a great defense, and they both got pretty good offenses. So we'll see what happens.
So looking at the rankings for these defenses here, LSU is 42nd in the country against the run, and they're 93rd in the country against the pass, which isn't really good. Overall, they're 66th ranked defense overall there. So LSU is better at running against the run than they are against the pass. So far this year, that secondary has been out of position at times. They got burned a couple of times. And that is something LSU is going to try to fix for this game against Ole Miss. Because, you know, Lane Kiffin and that offense, he likes to spread the ball around. He likes to get guys in space, build them, create matchup opportunities for his offense, and try to get these defenders out of position where they can score points against you and make it really hard on you. So LSU on offense, it's a little bit of a misleading ranking here when you look at the rushing rank. Now, on offense, they're 97th in the country or running the football. LSU is 7th in the country at passing. So, but the last two games, like we've been talking about here on the Fish Bowl, they have started to find this running game with Durham. Look like he's taking over that backfield. Looks like he's the lead back.
It's the South Carolina game for sure.
Yeah, he looks like he's kind of really positioned himself to be the lead back for LSU at the freshman. So it's a 6:30 kickoff at Tiger Stadium. This has been a historical rivalry. Wristbands that light. This is going to be a massive game. So it's number 9 in the country. They're going to number 13 LSU. And since 2008, you know, this has been known as the Magnolia Bowl trophy here was made here. This is the 113th meeting between both these schools here. LSU holds a 65-42 and 4 advantage in the series here. So here's the thing. Lane Kiffin and Brian Kelly are the only two active coaches in the conference with over 100 career FBS wins. So this is going to be one that, you know, they both know how to win ball games. And I think can LSU slow it? I don't think they have to stop Ole Miss's offense. Can they slow them down enough to where Garrett Nussmeier, the Nuss Bus, and that LSU offense, can they get ahead in possessions? If they can steal 1 or 2 possessions, I think that will be a very big key in this ball game. What you think, Juicy?
I agree with you, man. Whoever usually wins a turnover battle usually wins the game most of the time. I mean, that's just an old cliche, but it is true. It always holds true, though, more times than not.
Yeah, like the turnover in the turnover battle in this game is going to be key here. But I think we need to talk about something else, though, too. So Ole Miss, you know, lost earlier in the year to Kentucky. And Kentucky gave Georgia a tough game, which brings me to Vanderbilt and Alabama. Vanderbilt beat Alabama if you haven't been living under a rock. Wait, hold on. I just saw a push from ESPN. Okay, Ole Miss plans to address complaints about players and faking injuries during this season. Okay, what does this lead here? All right, this is happening live here. I just got this push from ESPN. Let's see. They've been in contact with the SEC and National Coordinator for Football Officiating, Steve Shaw, about the issue. In a statement released Friday, Ole Miss acknowledged that his team has received attention in national discussion around fiend injuries during games this season. The team said that it has provided relevant medical information for Shaw to review. It will about recent incidents in games. We have also updated the SEC offense, and our head coach will communicate with our coaches and players to ensure we conduct ourselves properly and are compliant in this matter, the statement read. So, this dates back to the South Carolina game, and it seemed like they were trying to stifle momentum of South Carolina, and it was in a 27-3 Ole Miss win. So, Gamecocks coach Shane Beamer was asked about it. He said he hoped Ole Miss players who went down were okay, while adding, "I got my own problems. We just got our butts kicked 27-3." But it's fascinating to me to see how many injuries occur for them after their opponent makes a first down or makes a big play. Yeah, he's saying, yeah, like I thought they were faking injury without actually saying it out loud. I mean, the media have been asking Brian Kelly about it. Brian Kelly, this is what he had to say this week. If there was any faking injuries in a deliberate action, SEC would take action on that, Kelly said this week. I can leave that up to the SEC and let them evaluate that. The officials shouldn't be involved in it. That's not their purview. They got to officiate a game. They can't decide who is injured or who is not injured. In 2022, the NCAA had. Yeah, in 2022, the NCAA announced that teams that would be able to report questionable scenarios to the national coordinator of officiating for review, who then would communicate with conference offices for potential action. So that is something that just came across the wire for ESPN here. So that is something to maybe look at in Saturday's game for this LSU Ole Miss matchup here. It's a big marquee matchup for both these schools here. But back to what I was talking about before I got interrupted by the push alert by ESPN. Let's talk about Vanderbilt and Alabama and these games that happened earlier this year. Kentucky beating Ole Miss, Texas A&M blowing out Missouri. Juicy, is there more parity in the Power Four conferences? Okay, you think because of the transfer portal?
You would think the transfer portal. I mean, it's kind of. You hate to say necessarily like it's just a transfer portal, but it is pretty coincidental how a lot of this happens now more commonly, especially since the transfer portal really took off. So it's hard to really say it hasn't been a huge contribution. I mean, coaching has something to do with it too, but I mean, I think more in large part it probably is the transfer portal. It makes everything more like free agency. You can go start somewhere right away, get a bunch of money. I mean, it's pretty.
I think you can add. I think it's a combination of both. I think coaching does play a role in it, and I do think that when greater talent meets better coaching, a player blossoms more. Right? That would be the most obvious assertiveness about the whole entire thing. There would be that kind of situation that you would have there. So, looking at that, I think if you look at it from an outsider's point of view and looking here, I think it's very possible that we're going to see more of these upsets here. This season kind of reminds me of the 2007 college football season when we had so many ranked teams being defeated here. And I remember we were talking about the LSU. We were talking about LSU at the beginning of the season, and we thought this schedule was very good for them to have an undefeated season. We looked at it top to down, and what the information we had at the beginning of the season and what was coming out of the media reports here was LSU is going to make that jump into the top 12 playoff for this year and stuff like that. But that's not necessarily the case. That doesn't look like that's necessarily the case. Not judging Brian Kelly or LSU, but I think it's like, are these teams really that easy to beat? Vandy, we said at the beginning of the year, would not be a challenge for LSU. But now after that game against Alabama, you can't say that's an easy win for LSU anymore. Like you couldn't say that um like Kentucky beating Ole Miss. I bet you before the season we said, "Oh yeah, Ole Miss hands down. They'll beat Kentucky." We didn't think South Carolina would be a challenge for LSU. LSU beat them by 3 points. Um, there's a lot there. I mean, even last week I picked Missouri to beat A&M because I was like, well, they hadn't played anybody yet, but this would be a big test for them, and they failed the test. So we're at the point where these teams are pretty much on par, and they're pretty much a parity of each other here. The parity of the league is like so close together. Like one fumble snap could change the whole outlook of a game, and that's what makes college football great. I think the upsets bring a level here. We've seen G5 schools go into these Power Four conferences and win games. Like look at UL not last week, but like the week before that when they won the road to take on Wake Forest. They beat Wake Forest. Even though Forest isn't that great of a power school, you know, if we talk 10, 15 years ago, Wake Forest beats UL 9 out of 10 times. Nowadays, they're a lot more on par with these like lower end Power 4 schools than the G5 schools are. So it's like we got these big players from the Power 4 schools like that don't want to sit behind a starter, start making these moves to these smaller schools. And I think that's going to make a big change in there. And I think that's kind of why they're trying to push these two away from each other because, like, this is the budget, this is what it is. But look, man, this game in college football itself is changing every single day because players are just moving around so much. It's really hard to keep track of everybody and seeing what they're going to do week after week. And that's what is happening right now in college football, I believe. What you think, Juicy?
Oh, you hit everything on point. I mean, in all sports, really, though, it's you see it most in college football, but it's in all the major college sports: basketball, baseball, softball. I mean, you see it in all levels of in all sports across college and in the NCAA now, though.
All right. What are some matchups that you were looking forward to in this LSU versus Ole Miss game?
The matchups in the LSU Ole Miss game.
Yeah.
I just want to see how. I can't wait to see how. Uh, LSU's defense, Swanson, the other linebacker, can't think of his name at the moment. How they
Week.
respond, weak. There you go. How they respond to, Harold Perkins being out. They really stepped up in South Alabama. So we'll see how the linebackers match up against the running backs and the tight ends. For them, or see if they step up, make plays, put pressure, see if they keep it coming instead of just like what we would consider like lesser opponents to see if they can keep it up, get to Jackson Dart, that's what I'm most excited about. They can keep pressure on Jackson Dart, then the secondary can get the pressure taken off of them, not having to try and keep these guys covered so long. Because Ole Miss is very talented on the receiving core and the offensive side of the ball.
Do you blame? I want to ask you this here. Do you like? Okay, so we know that the passing defense is like ranked 93rd in the country. Okay, that's no secret. Anybody that's an LSU fan would tell you that's obvious. Give me something more deeper. Do you blame the pass rush, Juicy, or do you blame the corners not covering the receivers as well?
I think it's kind of, I think it's a little bit of, it's both, but I think it's more of the defensive line play really, to me, has been kind of disappointing, especially with the hire of the defensive line coach. I can't think of his name either. They took him back from Texas. I was kind of disappointed how they performed. Now, they do pretty well against the run, but they have a hard time getting pressure on the quarterback, and that does, and you wonder how that plays a part. Well, it forces the DBs to try and cover longer, and that's when you get more busted assignments and everything because you can't you because the average DB is only gonna keep a receiver covered for about uh, 4 seconds usually. You got about 4 seconds, and then
If
they'll
you got a
start to.
lockdown, you got about 6. That quarterback got about 3 seconds to the ball when you get to the professional level. It's like that 1
Yeah.
Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. Boom, you got to get that ball out of there. That you should be doing your 1, 2, and your third read by that point.
But make no
Yeah,
mistake. I mean, I know that Ole Miss is going to come out throw, and I can't say I blame them when their defense is ranked 93rd against the pass. I can't blame them. I know what Lane Kiffin's going to do. It ain't no doubt what he's going to do.
yeah, I do think the DBs do get a little bit of like bad flag for it because they're obviously they're shown on the screen giving up a pass play, and a lot of LSU fans don't really look at the what's the inside, what's the why is it open constantly, why are we ranked third, okay? And I like I said, I'll say this on every single episode because it is so important, and I want to drill into Fishbowl Nation's head that they understand this is here. The 2 most important units in football, period, is your offensive line and your defensive line. I could care like a average quarterback with a great average quarterback with a great offensive line can become a good quarterback because he's got time to go through his progressions and able to read the defenses a lot at a lot deeper level and able to make smart calculated throws. That's why I say a game managing quarterback can win you a championship if you just have decent receivers on the outside too, because they're not going to break it open every single play. But if you have a great offensive line, you can run the ball very well probably, and you probably can pass the ball very well as well. As long as you're efficient, you can get the job done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
True
So
that.
yeah. So defensive line, if they get pressure on Jackson Dart, I think they'll win this game here. Considering the fact it's in Death Valley, they're going to be a little bit more motivated to play this game, I think. I expect LSU to come out with some energy in this game, and I think they got a real good chance to beat Ole Miss here because I think up front, LSU's offensive line, look, I think they're starting to find themselves a little bit better. They're starting to gel a little bit better. This is a veteran group here, their offensive line. I think they'll win the battle up front here. LSU needs to really focus in on that first drive when they get in the setup, in that first offensive drive. I want them to run the ball down Ole Miss's throat.
Yeah, I agree. I was gonna say they need to impose their will early, get physical early, let it set the tone, let Caden
Yeah,
Durham do.
because if you do that, that is a psychological effect on that defense. Because if you're getting knocked off the ball that much and they're pushing you back, you're like, okay, I gotta start stepping up here. And what's gonna happen is if they pushed him back here, they're gonna have these guys come up. And when those guys come up, like the safeties are starting to come up closer to the line of scrimmage and stuff, you can hit them over the top with a play action pass here. Because once the safeties start coming up, to try to defend against the run, it's going to hit them over the top. And that's going to be an easy touchdown for LSU here because they got the receivers to do it. That's just part of what's going on there. So, look, I think that's going to be part of it there, and it's going to be interesting to see what is going to happen with that there. So, if safeties come up over the top, you got Lacey and you got other playmakers out there. And when the safeties cheat up some, you hit them over the top, and they're not going to do that again for the rest of the game here. That's why I think it's so important for LSU to establish the running game early in that game against Ole Miss. So I think LSU does that. I think that offensive line has posted their will. I think LSU's defense needs to make 1 or 2 turnovers, and I think they'll win the turnover battle. Give me LSU by 7. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. Give me 42-35 LSU beating Ole Miss. What you think, Juicy?
I'm gonna say the same thing. I think it'll be one of those last possession games. One who gets one more turnover than the other. I do agree. I think it's gonna be I'll say 45-38 LSU, somewhere in that ballpark. 49-42,
Okay.
45-38, somewhere in there.
That's all fair spread. That's higher than a spread. Ole Miss is favored by 3.5 points here. I think it'd be hard to for LSU not to be favored at home, but I mean I get it. I understand. All right, I know Juicy. This is your favorite time of the segments here. You love this a lot. top 25 game picks for week 7 here on the Fishbowl Radio here. We got one tonight, a little bit of West Coast action going on. Number 16, Utah taking on Arizona State here. Late game. If you can stay up at 9:30, hey, you got a game for you right there. I think that's Central Time. All right. So in our time zone. So I think Utah wins this one. What you thinking, Juicy?
Yeah, I think Utah wins this one as well.
All right, South Carolina versus number 7, Alabama. Alabama coming off that loss against Vanderbilt. South Carolina coming off of a loss against Ole Miss. So both these coming off losses. Who you think gets this one, Juicy? I got Alabama in this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna have Alabama in this one, but I think it's gonna be a little bit closer than what the spread has it though.
I mean, yeah, I think 21.5 is being very generous to Alabama.
Especially
Number 10,
Clemson
Clemson versus Wake Forest. You know, Wake Forest hasn't been that good of a team this year so far. You would think they would try to turn around at some point, but I got Clemson winning this one. I think they get their early kickoff in. What you thinking, Juicy?
Clemson.
Number 21, Missouri taking on UMass, Massachusetts here. Missouri did not look good at all against Texas A&M. I was very disappointed here. That was a big test for them, and they failed it. So I think they do bounce back, though. Give me Missouri to beat UMass. Who you got, Juicy?
I'll just say it was a bad week for them. I mean, a lot of SEC teams had bad weeks last week, but I definitely think they'll bounce back against UMass, get it back on track.
The Red River rivalry here. Number 1, Texas taking on number 18, Oklahoma. Give me the Longhorns of Texas. Who you got, Juicy?
Oh, the Red River shootout. I will go. Give me the Longhorns.
All right, number 4, Penn State versus USC. I got this is gonna be a good one here, but I got Penn State winning this one. Who do you think, Juicy?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Penn State as well.
Stanford versus number 11, Notre Dame. Give me the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame to win this one. Who you got, Juicy?
Give me the Fighting Irish. I'm sorry about
Cal taking on number 22, Pitt. I got Pitt winning this one. Who you got, Juicy?
I got Pitt as well winning this one.
Purdue taking on number 23, Illinois. Give me Illinois. Who you got, Juicy?
Yeah, give me the Illinois, man. They've looked really good this year.
They have. Arizona versus number 14, BYU. BYU trying to stay undefeated so far this year. Give me Brigham Young University. Who you got, Juicy?
Yeah, I'm gonna take BYU. They've looked fairly well this year.
Mississippi State taking on number 5, Georgia. I think Georgia's gonna, continue their winning ways. Give me the Bulldogs of Georgia to win against Mississippi State. Who you got, Juicy?
Yeah, give me Georgia as well.
All right. Next game up on the list here, Florida. Billy Napier's Florida Gators taking on number 8, Tennessee here. As much as I would love Billy to win this one, I don't think he does. I got them falling to number 8, Tennessee on the road. Who you got, Juicy?
Yeah, I got them losing to Tennessee. I got the Volunteers.
Number 2, Ohio State taking on number 3, Oregon. This is going to be the game of the week right here. OSU, 3-point favorites here. This is going to be a good one here, but I got Ohio State winning this one. Who you got, Juicy?
Oh, man, I'm going to go with the Ducks, man. I'm going to go with the Ducks on this one. I can't really call it an upset pick. I have a hard time doing that. If you want to label it an upset pick or whatever, that's fine. But I'm going to go with Oregon.
Number 11, Iowa State taking on West Virginia. Give me Iowa State to win this one. Who you got, Juicy?
Man, now you can label this one an upset. I'm going to go with the Mountaineers in this one.
Going with the Mountaineers. All right. Number 18, Kansas State versus Colorado. Look, man, Colorado's been having a better year than they have in recent years. They're 4-1 so far this year. This is gonna be a tough one, but I don't think they don't do enough. They lose it by this much here. Give me Kansas State to beat Colorado. Who you got, Juicy?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it'll be kind of close. Though Colorado hasn't really had like the toughest of schedules either. I'm gonna go with Kansas State. I think it'll be close. Though Colorado does have a pretty favorable schedule actually, but I'm gonna go with Kansas State.
Number 17, Boise State taking on Ohio. Oh wow, almost said Highway, Hawaii. But I got the Broncos at Boise State. I got them winning the game. You got Juicy.
Yeah, this won't even be close. I'm gonna go with Boise State.
All right, that's our top 25 picks for week 7 here, live on the Fishbowl Radio. So, Juicy, you got any closing thoughts here on the Fishbowl Radio?
Jeffrey Epstein didn't hang himself. No, I'm joking. No, man, that's about it. Like Coach O would say, "Go Tigers." Yeah.
All right, thank y'all for tuning in here to the Fishbowl Radio here. This should be a very interesting week here. I'm really excited for Ohio State-Oregon game. I think it'll be a very good game to see here. We're gonna be back
that's the
here.
one I'm going to want to watch a nighttime
Yeah,
game.
what me and Mike are gonna be at Cajun Field on Saturday. UL taking on App State.
Juicy's too broke. He ain't gonna be able to
go. We'll set up a GoFundMe for Juicy to attend the LSU Ole Miss game. You'll go donate to that. I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna go do that. But anyway, thank y'all for tuning in here to this episode here of the Fishbowl Radio. We'll be great, wonderful day. We'll see you here next time on the Fishbowl Radio. Have a good night, Fishbowl Nation.
Good night, everyone.